Hi, everyone. Once again, thank you for joining the first session of ACT's pilot program on Voice One Cause. Today, we will speak about injustices made against an ethnic minority in China who, under the communist regime, have been mistreated, forced to renounce their beliefs and their culture. This is an ethnic minority of Uyghurs who to this day endure tremendous human rights violations. We're talking about slavery, torture, government-sponsored rape. And after World War II, we vowed never again, but history is repeating itself right before our eyes. So we are joined today with two speakers known for their works in advocacy and their ardent desire to end this cultural genocide. We are joined by Rushan Abbas, Director of Campaign for Uyghurs, and Mamajan Juma, a journalist for Radio Free Asia, who will be joining us in for a few moments. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that they can post their questions in the chat so they can be used for the Q&A segment. And now, without further ado, please grant them your full attention. Rushan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for inviting me here today. And it's so wonderful to see young people using their voices and the platforms to speak out on the current atrocities against the Uyghurs and the other Turkic people. The stakes have never been higher for us to fight against the disgusting justifications and the willful ignorance that plague the world regarding this genocide. The Uyghurs have lived in Central Asia for over 2,000 years. Manchus invaded our homeland, East Turkestan, in 1876 and renamed the land Xinjiang, which means new territory, a name which is inaccurate at best and insulting at worst to the Uyghur people. We refuse to use that. The Uyghurs staged numerous uprisings against the Chinese rule, and twice in the recent history, 1933 and 1944, succeeded in setting up an independent East Turkestan Republic. Since the communist China's occupation in 1949, the government has relentlessly destroyed the Uyghur culture and religion. The Uyghurs have been persecuted under the labels of nationalists, counter-revolutionaries, and separatists. Following the 9/11 tragedy here in America, the communist authorities rebranded their efforts as a war on terror. Under that pretext, China has basically outlawed all the basic and the normal religious practices and called them illegal Islamic activities. The Chinese media constantly brags about the goodness of the Chinese Communist Party in developing East Turkestan and bringing economic benefits to the Uyghurs. But in reality, they merely view our people and our homeland as people and the place that they just exploit resources from. When you look at 1/3 of China's natural gas and the oil reserves, and 40% of coal reserves, and fossil fuel reserves, and the many precious metals and the minerals such as uranium, gold, and the jade, as well as 84% of China's cotton output come from our homeland. Therefore, what's happening today is the Chinese Communist Party's version of Nazi Germany's final solution. A high-level Chinese government official, Hu Lianhe, even said clearly, he said publicly that the Uyghur problem must be taken to the final solution stage. The People's Republic of China's strategy of building a new Silk Road through the Belt and Road Initiative is causing destruction in our homeland, and it's populating massive concentration camps. China's campaign of despotism extends far beyond those horrendous camps that being built, but ubiquitous cameras, security system like the George Orwell's 1984. A massive high-tech police state is the cruel reality for the entire region of East Turkestan. According to numerous testimonies from former inmates, those who were inside of the camps. And the detainees are intensively indoctrinated with Communist Party propaganda and forced to renounce their religion and their ethnic identity. When the camps were first brought to the attention of the international community, China claimed they didn't exist. They denied. When satellite imagery and the proof came out, China painted the camps as re-education centers and the vocational training centers. This didn't explain the guard towers, armed guards, and mass purchases of pepper spray, stun guns, handcuffs, and the other materials. These were reported out of Chinese government's purchase order for those so-called re-education camps. The first concentration camp in East Turkestan was built under the Strike Hard campaign in 2014. The size of the camps has grown over 500% in past 2 years alone. According to the news accounts, the Chinese government is building crematoriums for a culture that doesn't practice cremation. We are Muslims. We don't cremate bodies. The last time the world saw crematorias and the concentration camps together, we all know what happened. All of these horrors that have been shared are very personal to me. After watching my husband's entire family disappear into the camps and seeing over 1 million Uyghurs thrown into the concentration camps, I spoke at a panel in Washington, D.C., talking about the conditions of the camps and the fate of my in-laws and about this atrocity on September 5th, 2018. 6 days after my participation on that panel, my sister disappeared. She was abducted on the same day with my aunt from 2 completely different cities. Of course, this is a punishment for my activism here in America as an American citizen under my constitutional rights. Yet, my sister is a victim now, being taken as a hostage. Just about 3 weeks ago, after 21 months of no contact, no information on her whereabouts, Radio Free Asia managed to get someone from the hospital where my sister worked and confirmed that she was in detention. But still, we have no idea where and what kind of conditions that she's being held. To this day, the Chinese government has not revealed why my sister was arrested and for what crime they decide to keep her detained for past 22 months. When many prominent Uyghur intellectuals and the people like my sister, a retired medical doctor who has no need for any kind of vocational training, are also missing though. China continued to lie by calling their ethnic extermination by preventing extremism. Those are all lies. During this pandemic that was brought to the world by the totalitarian Chinese regime, China's actions to deny, to keep quiet, to misinform, to punish the whistleblowers, and to create a security crackdown are made this virus from Wuhan a global plague today. And so many people are suffering. So many people are dying. This has resulted in increased attention on China and their actions to conceal, deceive, and bribe in order to avoid any responsibility. However, requests for transparency have been continually met with threats and the so-called wolf warrior diplomacy approaches from China, basically. As the Chinese government has continued to wage an intense campaign of disinformation, the Chinese Communist Party has continually focused on the failure of free democracies to contain the virus rather than their own failures to warn citizens around the world. At present, they are concealing the second wave of the virus that's now rising once again in multiple Chinese cities. While this was happening, Uyghurs have been forcefully sent out in China proper, the inner China cities, to work as slaves under the guise of solving unemployment, while most people were sheltering at home. And this is also conveniently solved both of the problem of jumpstart the failing economy and also concealing the evidence of the government's crimes, scattering Uyghurs in multiple production plants throughout the country. In these factories, the Uyghurs are not allowed to leave their dormitories without permission and being monitored with armed guards while they are working. This is a modern day slavery. Many of the companies that benefit from Uyghur slaves, forced labor, are brands that you know so well, such as Gap, H&M, Zara, Adidas, Nike, BMW, Calvin Klein, and the list just goes on and on. While this is occurring, millions of Han Chinese so-called settlers have been brought to the region, to our homeland, lured with promises of homes, free education, money, and the jobs in East Turkestan, while the Uyghur youth were taken out of East Turkestan in the excuse of unemployment. As China continues to aggressively extend its reach across the globe, the rightful inhabitants of East Turkestan have been imprisoned so that the majority Han Chinese settlers can have their way. Uyghurs are forbidden from using their mother language and encouraged to sing in Chinese, literally to praise the Communist Party and the Xi Jinping, in a situation that you probably have seen in the documentaries. It resembles North Korea, but is in fact far more sinister because the Western countries are more complicit in making China able to carry out these crimes against humanity. While facing China's horrific actions, what disappoints me is the lack of united global response to them. We all have seen history play out. Our action to prevent never again is already late. What holds the international community back from preventing from this massive genocide? While 3 million people, 3 million Uyghurs are languished in concentration camps, and millions more are used as slaves, China has been allowed to host the 2022 Olympics. China is getting rewarded. China has been allowed to sit on the UN Human Rights Council, Human Rights Panel. China has been allowed to control the World Health Organization. And now the world has paid the price for the stupidity. The entire world has been given the opportunity one last time to wake up to how the Chinese government's rash desire to preserve their image instead of upholding human rights led them to punish their own citizens and the billions in worldwide today for their incompetence and the deception. Unfortunately, this chance at accountability for the Chinese government is slipping away. Despite the genocidal actions the Uyghurs are facing, including my own family, we are still confronted by a muted world. Is an entire ethnic group fated to become collateral damage to short-term politics? Or will the world community take a stand for its highest ideal of human dignity and freedom. We need to see tangible actions against China's crimes. Just about 2 months ago, Amazon purchased $10 million worth of equipment from the blacklisted tech company that supplies the cameras and the security systems and other techs used to turn East Turkestan into a police state, and even provided the cameras used at the concentration camps to Amazon. Imagine that, on our watch. If the West feels comfortable selling its soul like this, what will become of the Uyghurs? While we are consumed dealing with the COVID-19 and the racial tensions that have arisen, China continues to stoke them to its advantage today, rebuking the West for racism, while they have millions of Uyghurs and other people living in hell. And where is the anger of the Islamic countries? Where is the outrage from our Muslim Ummah? The Belt and Road Initiative comes at the cost of Muslim brothers and sisters' blood. The halal organ transplants advertised from a Chinese hospital in Arabic come from my people. During the peak of the coronavirus outbreak, Chinese hospitals were advertising their ability to perform double lung transplants with practically no time to wait. In airports in East Turkestan, there are special lanes opened through the airport security for organ transplant, while the world has essentially ignored for years the reports that prisoners of the conscience, such as Falun Gong and the others, were used to harvest organs from. The implementation of mass mandatory DNA collections, DNA testings for all Uyghurs in East Turkestan adds another disturbing layer to our nightmare. China is concurrently waging its merciless war on religion, forbidding Islamic letters to be on signs across the country, not only in East Turkestan, but all over China now, silencing the call to prayer, forbidding Uyghurs from fasting during Ramadan, outlining Islamic names, Muslim names, basically outline everything as simple as saying Salam Alaikum, the most peaceful way of greeting each other. And even forcing Uyghurs to drink alcohol and eat pork to pass a test confirming that they are not religious. They are even announcing to the world openly that they are going to rewrite the Bible and the Holy Quran to make it compatible with communist Chinese ideologies. Think about it. How in the world Islam or any religion can be compatible with communist atheist ideologies? While countries like Pakistan jump at the chance to serve as the Chinese Communist Party's mouthpiece, defending those, and women living in so-called freedom outside of the camps in East Turkestan, like just regular people like you and me, are forbidden from wearing any sort of just headscarf, even having their longer clothing, like not hijab, but just like long tunic, if they were wearing long shirts, and their clothes getting cut on the streets to meet the requirement of the Chinese dress. Mosques have been turned into karaoke bars and restaurants. The Chinese government has sent party officials like the Chinese people to live with the families, the Uyghur families, and to supervise them under the guise of forced friendship. The Chinese media reported 1.1 million Han Chinese officials were sent to Uyghur homes. Imagine uninvited people coming into your home, living with you in your house, having dinner at your dining table, sleeping in your bedroom. For many of those Uyghur women, those husbands are in the camps or in the prisons. These Chinese cadres may even sleep in their bed. And actually, there are reports that the government is encouraging them to share beds with their hosts, to develop the double relatives relationship. Many are forced into marriages with Han Chinese men and with the government gratifications for Chinese, marrying Uyghur girls with money, housing, and the jobs. The girls nor their families can refuse such a marriage. If they say no, then they are being viewed as Islamic extremists, did not want to marry non-Muslim Han Chinese. Imagine that if the girl cannot choose who she wants to marry or who she cannot reject to marry because of fear of repercussions. This is nothing short of a government-sponsored mass rape. Where is the feminist outcry for that? Where are all the famous, the vocal people, activists? Where are the journalists? Why it's not being reported all over the media? Over 500,000 Uyghur children have also become the main target of China's policy of assimilation and the social reengineering. The Chinese government is trying to eradicate the entire Uyghur ethnic identity by targeting the younger generation. While their parents are detained in the camps, Uyghur children are taken away, held hostage in the government-run orphanages. They are indoctrinated, forced to abandon their Uyghur identity and religion, swear blind loyalty to the Communist Party, and they're pushed to recognize Xi Jinping as their God. They are separated from their parents, and for many who may not, be granted brief visits, but they are too young to even recognize them when they see them. In some cases, children have been asked, if they are a little bit older, to spy on their parents for religious behaviors when they meet their parents. From those atrocities to the mere separation itself, it's clear that the effect on young developing minds of the children are catastrophic. And the Chinese government's willingness to do this is evil. As China continues to threaten countries all around the world, while they spread propaganda, disinformation, and bullying, and the manipulating, while changing the rule of law, the Western democracies must hold China accountable. They have made it blatantly clear to the world that China does not have the moral values. A country which believes that imprisoning 3 million people and forcing millions more to a dystopian hell and making millions as slaves today in the 21st century cannot be trusted by anyone in any country. We especially need the voices of those living in free societies like yourself to end the complicity in these crimes against humanity. Finally, in light of recent events, I want to close by saying this. The United States and the other democratic societies' ability for self-criticism is what leads to societal improvement. The Chinese government has never had this ability. When we see voices raised protesting for injustice, we admire them. And I hope that more freedom-loving people around the world will use their voices to cry out for us. Please, the world is not listening. The British philosopher and the statesman, Mr. Edmund Burke, once wrote, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." This is as true as when it was first written some 200 years ago. Today, I ask for your help and the support so that together we can act with the compassion, courage, and the conviction that are necessary to win freedom for the Uyghur people. We need you. Thank you.